The Giannis Antetokounmpo trade saga feels like it's been never ending, and who knows if it will even come to fruition here as the Bucks are set to make a decision for the NBA draft. You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host Tyler Smith, and we are presented by Prize Picks. On today's show, we're going to talk about one new report here from a Celtics insider that's really tapped in here. Jay King of The Athletic shared his insight and intel on where the Celtics stand with Giannis. Before we get into his report, I want you to go down below and do one thing for me. Hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video, because I want you guys to manifest Brad Stevens making a big move this offseason. The Knicks just won an NBA Finals game. They're up and leading the San Antonio Spurs right now. Brad cannot sit on his hands this offseason, so if you want him to make a big move, manifest it by liking today's video. Because remember, Sam Amick of The Athletic reported yesterday that Giannis is quote-unquote very intrigued with the prospect of joining the Boston Celtics. Now, he also said that the Miami Heat are still the likeliest option. Many around the NBA still believe that the Heat is where Giannis is going to end up if he is going to be traded. But the Celtics are, in my opinion, still the number 2 suitor out there if it's not going to be the Miami Heat. Because, of course, Giannis would want to come to Boston. They're set to contend. If you could pair him up next to Jayson Tatum, then you're in a really good spot over the next few seasons. You'd be going all in for about a 3 or 4 year stretch with Antetokounmpo and Tatum as your 1 and 2. So I'm all for it. I'm sure Giannis is all for it. But it really boils down to how interested the Boston Celtics are in trading for Giannis. And it would all but likely require a Jaylen Brown trade. And things have been kind of murky with Jaylen Brown this offseason. We know he goes on the live stream and says it was his most fun year, his favorite year of basketball in his career. A year without Jayson Tatum for a large part of it, where JB got to be the number 1. So, there's been a little bit of uncertainty with him. But Brad Stevens came out and said that there's been no real notice of any frustration that's been given to him from Jaylen Brown. And that's kind of what Jay King is taking from in this whole report here, is that Brad Stevens' messaging so far this offseason hasn't exactly signaled that they want to go after Giannis Antetokounmpo, even if he said they need to get more rim pressure. Here's some from Jay King. And as enticing as an Antetokounmpo addition would be, Stevens didn't sound ready to write off the current core, and he shouldn't be quick to do so either. Since Jayson Tatum's rookie season, the Celtics have won more playoff games than any organization. And this kind of coincides with what Zach Lowe had said to Bill Simmons a couple days ago, too, about he hasn't sensed any urgency to break up the team here because, they have won a lot of games, and specifically a lot of playoff games here. Listen to what Brad Stevens said about the Celtics offseason when he was in his little exit interview with the media. I think the biggest thing is we will, like we normally do, take a little bit of time before we all need to sit down and get together and determine what the best course of action is for building the best team that we can that's also sustainable over a long period. Now, how long of a period is Brad Stevens talking about there? That's what could signal a really no interest in Giannis, because that's only going to be 2 to 3 to 4 years max of a peak there. And just so we're clear, though, Brad Stevens would never truly reveal his hand. He would never really show his hand dating back to April when the Celtics season was wrapped. So you can't take too much from these words, but I understand where Jay King is coming from and saying that it's not sustainable over a long period of time, but Jayson Tatum's in the prime of his career. Wouldn't you want to go in for that at this point? I'm not so sure. Here, it's more from Brad Stevens on the Celtics' plans. I also don't take for granted how good we've been when we've been full. And when we've been full and all on the court and playing together, we've been a good basketball team. Those are hard to get, so we just have to be better around the margins. Look, technically, yes, the Celtics have been the most successful playoff team of the 2020s. They've made multiple conference finals. They've made multiple finals, which no team in the 2020s has actually done yet. Aside from the Miami Heat, of course. But the Celtics have won over them. They have won the NBA Finals in 2024. So, they've technically been the most successful playoff team to this point in this decade. It's still theirs for the taking, but I don't know, man. Something about just where this team is right now, where the two personalities and standings of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are at right now, I'm just not 100% sure that they can win a title again. The two J's, JB and JT this time, I don't know if they're reaching those heights again. Everything had to go super perfect for them when they had Kristaps Porzingis, when they had Drew Holiday on the roster. So it's tough to imagine them building that championship core back up when you have Wemby and the Spurs, when you have the Knicks, when you have the Thunder, all at the peak of their powers right now. It feels like they have to make another move externally here. So we will see, and we'll hear more from Jay King on this Giannis report in just a second. But first, a word from our presenting sponsor over at Prize Picks, America's #1 app for sports picks. where you just pick more or less on a few player stats, lock in your lineup, and you can win real money while you're watching your favorite sports. You can do it for the NBA Finals. Pick more or less on points, rebounds, assists, blocks, three-pointers, steals, turnovers, fouls. They have it all on PrizePicks. You can combo it with the Stanley Cup Final too. You can also do it with baseball, MMA, golf, whatever's on the sports calendar. Combo them all in the same lineup if you want to as well. And one thing I love about PrizePicks is their new social feeds feature where you can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can even follow me on the app at Tyler J. Smith to see some of my lineups, including this one for NBA Finals Game 2, where I have Dylan Harper more than 15.5 points. It's a demon pick, so it increases my payout, but it's tougher to hit that square. Jalen Brunson, we're going more than 1.5 three-pointers made there. It's a goblin pick, which decreases my payout, but it's easier to hit. And then same goes for Josh Hart here, more than 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. You can take my picks or fade them. Just do it at PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use the code HMA, and you're going to get $50 in lineups instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA after you play your first $5 lineup to get $50 in lineups instantly with PrizePicks. The link to download the app is clickable in the comment section and description of today's video. All right, so like I said, I don't believe that Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown really are going to be able to win another title with this current core. You can disagree with me. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know why you think so, but I just don't think that's going to be the case anymore. Jay King, though, he does think that there is a possibility, if they can improve around the margins, to win another title with the Jays in tow. Here's what he said about it. Even if Stevens doesn't oversee a major overhaul this summer, there's plenty of reason to think the Celtics could improve significantly next season. Tatum will be further removed from his torn Achilles. Derek White will have a summer to iron out his shooting issues. The promising young players, including Neemias Queta, Baylor Sharman, and Ugo Gonzalez, will all be 1 year older. I mean, I get it, I guess. It's not super inspiring to me. I understand. I love Ugo Gonzalez. I love Jordan Walsh and his progression, and Baylor Sharman and Neemias Queta's progression this past season, but you need a different philosophy, in my opinion, than you had this year. And Brad said that. I mean, obviously getting more rim pressure is more of a literal philosophy change, but in the sense of, I don't know if the two personalities of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown can coexist anymore. After JB got this taste of being a number one, it didn't really feel like he wanted to relinquish that once Tatum got back in the lineup, and that's when things kind of fell apart. It wasn't JT's fault. He was by far the most impactful player for the Celtics in the postseason. It was everybody else who didn't step up. So I could see them making a seismic change, but who knows who that would be for, if not for Giannis. If they do make a big-time move, though, we will make a video about it. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because it's the best place to get Celtics offseason content every single day of this summer. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that sub button, and help us get to our next milestone of 59,500 subs. We're less than 60 away. All right, now what type of moves can Brad make on the margins then if it's not going to be a Giannis deal? Because historically, he really hasn't made too many seismic Giannis Antetokounmpo superstar level swings here. He basically did it in the aggregate. He got 4 guys who turns into, a superstar, super team level scenario. But here's how it's going to work. Al Horford is the first move that he made, and that was for Kemba Walker. That was a move that was incredibly under the radar. I mean, people thought Al Horford was super overpaid, and he was done, super washed at that point in his career. But guess what? He goes out there and is one of the most impactful players in the league once again. Derek White was traded for Josh Richardson and some nonsense draft capital. Could end up biting the Celtics in 2028 if they're bad, but I doubt it in that scenario with the Jays or whoever Jayson Tatum is paired up with them. Kristaps Porzingis, they get 2 first-round picks and Kristaps Porzingis for Marcus Smart, and that's a ballsy move to make for a guy who many people thought was incredibly injury-prone, and he is, let's be honest here. Did end up winning a title with us, but that was a risk they took. And then Drew Holiday, where they kind of just swooped in and took after the Bucks went all in for Damian Lillard. I mean, they sent Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams. Brad Stevens has made all these mid-level moves that have really taken this team to the next level. So what could those moves be this offseason if they're going to keep the Jays together? Well, the first guy I'm going to bring up on the list here for sneaky trade targets for Boston is Santi Aldama, a very versatile big here on the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, he's kind of rotting away, if you ask me. That team's got not a ton of direction at this current moment. 25 years old, 7 feet tall. He can put the ball on the deck. He can swat shots. He can shoot the 3-ball fairly reliably. And he's really good presence around the rim, man. I like Aldama's game. And he's a player that I would go out there and put into the trade a player exception of $27 million. And I'd give away 2 first-round picks for Santi Aldama because guess what? At the end of the day, they're going to be late round selections for Boston. They're going to be a good team for the foreseeable future. So the picks aren't going to be great, but I would give 2 unprotecteds away, in the mid to late 20s if it meant Aldama could come to Boston. Next up on the list, P.J. Washington out there in Dallas. And P.J. Washington, I believe, is a player that has become a little bit underrated. I know when he played against Boston in the finals back in 2024, it wasn't the best showing for him, both in the offensive and defensive end. But back-to-back seasons of 14 points per game and 7+ boards. Like, he shoots the 3 ball pretty reliably. An underrated defender, P.J. Washington is. Like, the team's defense is better when he is on the floor. A lot of the time, he's in like the 85th percentile and up of a lot of advanced defensive metrics. So I like P.J. a lot, and he's a good connector here, versatile, switchable player at 6'7", 6'8". Now, next up, we got Nic Claxton here, a real true like paint presence for this team that I just think is a little bit more skill to his game now, a little bit more polish than a guy like Neemias Queta does. You can still have Queta down there, and I'm happy to be playing him a sizable minutes load, but is he really a center that's going to be able to contend with the Wembanyamas and the Cats and the Mitchell Robinsons of the world? Like, I'm not so sure. I think Claxton may be a little bit better suited to do that. I mean, there's a reason he makes $25 million a year, and people don't act like it's some crazy overpay, right? 12 points per game, but you're not bringing him in to be a scorer. The problem is he really like the greatest rebounder? I'm not so sure. Great shot blocker and play finisher, though, at the rim. He would be awesome in the pick and roll with Jayson Tatum, but remember that on-court beef they had a couple of years ago. That was pretty rough. Next up on the list, Jabari Smith Jr. of the Houston Rockets. Man, it's a guy who I'm not sure that they're ready to give up on yet, but it would probably require, and probably the first player on this list that would truly require a Derek White trade. The Rockets need another ball handler here. And look, White, there's a good chance that he's not ever going to be the same player that he was the previous seasons as a shooter and as a complimentary player. Who knows? I mean, he had a really different role this year than he had previously. A lot more on-ball work for him. I want the Celtics to go out there and get another ball handler to complement him this offseason. But there aren't a ton on the trade market that I was in love with. So I'm going more front court additions here. And Jabari Smith's an excellent rebounder and shot blocker, and his outside shot is coming along too, as he averaged nearly 16 points per game in 2026. Now, before we get to our last name on the show today, we have a sale going on right now for Father's Day. The entire Chat Sports store is all 20% off all the way until midnight. So go get yourself some Celtics Today merch like I'm rocking here on the show today at chatsports.com/Celtics Today. That's chatsports.com/Celtics Today. The link is in the comment section and description of today's video. Go get yourself some channel merch. Get your dad a present for the holiday that's coming up. All right, next up and finally on the list, yes, Trey Murphy III. This is going to take at minimum a Derek White trade. I would be okay giving away Derek White, and you know what? Give the 27th pick. Derek White in the 27th pick. Bring in Trey Murphy. You save a little bit of money on the deal. You improve your third, your player on the offense, and you're in a situation where you can still use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. You can use the biannual exception to add other players on the open market, and you got a guy in Trey Murphy who's 25 years old, probably a little bit better suited for this timeline, and he's better suited for the long term as well, kind of like Brad Stevens was talking about in his exit interview. What do you guys think? Who's a player that you would add to the Boston Celtics this offseason via trade? Comment down below a name. It could be one of the 5 that we just talked about. It could be somebody completely out of the blue. You let me know down in the comment section who that would be, as that would do it for today's show. Make sure you give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. YouTube.com/Celtics TV for the latest and greatest on your C's all offseason long. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, let's go, C's.